the mood was fairly buoyant. The Messerschmitt 109E at that stage was definitely superior in many respects to the Hurricane. It could climb much faster, could dive faster. They operated in such a way that they could invariably be above us so that they could dive and pick. They had 20mm cannon, and as far as we were concerned, we had our machine guns, which were .303, and standard sort of tactic at that stage was if you were bounced, you would form a defensive circle. All 12 of you would form the big circle so that you were covering each other's tail, and they would pick at that, and you could pull your nose up and take him head on for a moment and then drop back into the circle. And I know on my first op, I was completely stupid because I thought I would be very brave, and I pulled out of the circuit to tackle one of these things, and only to find out that as I was getting back, one of them had launched onto my tail and put a couple of bullets into it. But that taught me a very sharp lesson, that little lot. You would keep circling, getting closer and closer back home all the time. But one of the main problems was that you were sent off invariably to cover our front troops, and you had a sort of bomb line that you had to go up and down just on our side, preventing Stukas or anything coming in, which meant the 109s could wait till you were near the end of your petrol or term of flying there and then take off. So they had the advantage of that as well. You were more interested in getting home because of your fuel position. There was many a fight. The one beauty of the Hurricane is you could outturn a 109 quite easily. The 109 had a big sort of wheel over here, and I flew one subsequently. We managed to get one in flying condition, and if I in the 109 got on the tail of either a Hurricane or a Spitfire, within 1.5 turns the positions were completely reversed. In the 109, in trying to pull round, I found as you sort of got it back, so an incipient spin would start like that, so you couldn't get that far. Meanwhile, the Hurricane was well and truly ahead of you. So they very seldom tangled with us. On the odd occasion they did. It was usually an error of judgment, or they thought they could get away with something. They did get amongst us, make no mistake about that, but it was usually their speed which got them in a firing position, which almost always was behind you. That was the right place to start shooting. The OC decides, yes, he takes up any necessary action. If we're above them, which very seldom happened, he would allocate, say, red section to go down onto them and start the thing, and then he'd follow. Later on, when we had the so-called Stuka party, much later in the desert, Major Lemessurier, Major Lemmy was leading. I wasn't on that show, unfortunately, but they went in as a 12-some, and he said, pick your target. And each one went in for his target, again flying in pairs, and he blew the first one apart, and his number 2, Colin Sinclair, was a little dozy and didn't break away and went through the gap between the fuselage and the wing, came back with oil on him. But the others, once they went down after him, then it became more or less a free-for-all, because the number one would be attacking. There were 15 of them. There were 12 of the one squadron. Well, there were 11 of the one squadron blokes. So there was more than enough to go around. And then, of course, 274 Squadron were looking after the top cover, and they were looking after the 109s, but some did get through, and one of them was shot down. But generally speaking, I would say you fought as a squadron to begin with. You did any attacking as a squadron, unless the OC took a particular flight to do the job and use the others as top cover. But the basic thing was try as far as possible, never get down to one. And never fly straight and level for much more than about a quarter of a minute.